Okay, it's been a while, but let's play some Crash Team Rumble. Just gotta log in and connect to the servers or online services and whatever. Why don't we speed this up a little? Yup. Okay. Almost there. What's up guys, LeopoldTheBrave here, and today marks the 1-year anniversary of Crash Team Rumble. Which feels a bit crazy and also sad to say when the support for the game ended over 3 months ago. Even more so when you remember the fact that the game was teased and hinted at nearly 3 times as long. It started off as a concept for a side multiplayer mode in Crash Bandicoot 4 It's About Time, but Toys for Bob saw its potential as its own full game. So they scrapped what they had and started rebuilding it from the ground up with a brand new idea. But then the pandemic hit and caused delays. And then Microsoft bought Activision. And at the same time all that was going on, there were layoffs after layoffs after layoffs. All of this worked together to create a game that understandably had mixed reception, but ultimately deserved a lot better. So the game launched with about 8 characters and 9 maps to play on, in one single game mode. And despite not being free to play, it was online only and it had a battle pass. It was genuinely the least predatory battle pass I've ever seen in any video game ever. So personally, I was fine with it and never ended up spending a single extra penny on this game. But when you lay out all that previously mentioned stuff, the low playable character count, the online only, you can see why it wasn't a smash hit at launch. It's a shame though, because the core gameplay loop was actually really fun. The goal of the game was to collect Wumpa Fruit and deposit them in your team's bank. Getting 2,000 first results in a victory. And all the characters had their own unique movesets and roles for getting the job done. And what made this the coolest is that a lot of these characters weren't playable before now. I mean, yeah, you could select characters like Embryo and Entropy in Crash Team Racing, but this was the first time you could use them in a platforming setting with their own moves. They even made a brand new character, Catbat, specifically for this new gameplay style. All the maps you play these characters on are super fun too. While it's unfortunate we didn't get any based on games other than Crash 4 It's About Time, they all still had really unique designs, layouts, hazards, and power-ups. But again, despite how cool all the content was, there was just still too little of it at launch. Now that wouldn't have been too much of a problem if the post-launch content was able to make up for it pretty quickly. Sadly though, each season lasted 3 whole months, and there was very little content added each season. The Battle Pass and event rewards were pretty much all cosmetic. And there was a bit too much of those compared to the actual game-changing additions like new characters and maps. Taking nearly 4 months, about a third of a year, for the game to go from 8 to 10 characters and 9 to 10 maps was way too long. But that's not the game's fault either. Crash Team Rumble had a very small team and budget to work on it. With all the delays and reworking, Activision clearly lost faith in the project and didn't give Toys for Bob anything for marketing, or patches, or quality of life changes. In interviews and Q&As, you can tell Toys for Bob and the crew behind this game were very passionate about it and trying their hardest to give us a good product. But they could only work with the tools they had, and the tools they had weren't a lot. Another thing that stung about the post-launch content though is the type of post-launch content that we got. Now for the first season we got 2 new playable characters, Injun and Ripperoo, iconic Crash Bandicoot bosses who are finally playable for the first time in a platformer setting. Awesome, I can't wait to see who's next. In season 2 we got Ripto from the Spyro games. Not Spyro, but Ripto. Weird choice, but okay. Anyways, time for season 3. Oh, there's Spyro, and Delora. Kind of odd to get 2 Spyro seasons in a row when I really wanted to see more Crash bosses and other Crash characters be playable for the first time. But I'm sure we'll get plenty of that when we finally get to season 4. Oh, there is no season 4. Yep, Crash Team Rumble ended support while adding more Spyro content than Crash content. With the small team, the tiny budget, the layoffs, and lack of support, Toys for Bob finally said enough is enough and managed to find a way to split up from Activision and Xbox and go indie. This meant they could no longer work on Crash Team Rumble. And it is a bit of a shame because there was actually a Q&A not too long before that where they talked about plans they had past Season 4. Not only were they ready to keep going for another season, but they wanted to go even beyond that. In data mines for the game, it was discovered that characters like Male Entropy, Papu Papu, Fake Crash, Tiny Tiger, Nina Cortex, and even Pinstripe Potoru were all going to be playable at some point. That's more characters than the past 3 seasons combined. They were clearly in it for the long haul, and it's devastating that things didn't go their way. Especially since not only did they not get to include all of the content that they wanted to, but they also didn't get to fix all the issues that they wanted to either. Yep, unfortunately pretty much all of the problems that were there at launch remained until the game ended support. The game is still online only, it takes a while to get connected, it takes a while to find a match, and when you do find a match it may end up being 50% bots. Players can rage quit without punishment, often leaving you in a match full of nothing but bots. There were so many glitches, there was so much lag and bad ping, and the balancing of the characters was always off. And sadly, all of these issues remained the entire 9 months the game was still receiving updates. And to add insult to injury, the game didn't get a big last hurrah update like Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled did. No massive bug fixes, they didn't get to finish up the characters that they were almost done with. They never got to do that offline mode that they wanted. All we got was one last big 500 tier battle pass. That sounds cool at first, until you realize it's almost completely made up of items that were in previous battle passes and event rewards. Crash Team Rumble was a very fun game with a very novel idea allowing you to play as Crash bosses in a platforming setting, but the lack of content, all the bugs and glitches, the poor online, and all that behind the scenes garbage ultimately resulted in a permanently 6 out of 10 game that could have been better and reached an 8 or maybe even 9 out of 10, but sadly never did. But let me know what you guys think. Did you enjoy Crash Team Rumble? What was your favorite and least favorite parts about the game? I'll be sure to check out your answers in the comments section below, and I'll see you guys next time. Whenever that is. Leopold the Brave, out. Alright, connecting was pretty tough, but let's actually get into a match. And let's speed this up a little too. Okay, finally. Now we just gotta wait for the lobby to fill. Shouldn't take too long, right? People are still playing this game, right? Right? Right?